Okay, so I'm going to start and I'm going to talk about a trip that we took, um, my wife and my stepson and I, that we took from Ventura to Seattle, Washington last winter. Um, so we drove from Ventura up to San Francisco, which was about a 5 hour drive. Um, and when we got to San Francisco, we were able to stay with some good friends of ours um, for a night and visit with some family friends. Um, it's always nice to go to San Francisco. It's really cool at night when the bridges are lit up and you can see them. We could actually see the bridge, the Bay Bridge from our friend's house, and it was lit up at night. It's pretty cool to watch and look at. Then we stayed there for the day or the night, and then spent the day there, and then we drove to Seattle um, from there, and it was about a 14-hour drive or so, uh, if I recall, going up to Seattle from San Francisco. When we got to Seattle, we stayed at a hotel that was right next to CenturyLink Field, which is where the Seattle Seahawks play. Um, from Seattle, we stayed the night at the hotel, and then the next morning we walked over to the Seattle Ferry Terminal, which was a couple blocks away from our hotel. Um, and we took that ferry over to Bremerton, Washington, on the way to Silverdale, Washington. And in Silverdale, we were able to meet up with my aunt and uncle and my cousins. There's a picture here of my stepson, my wife, and I, my cousin, my aunt, and my uncle that were there in in Silverdale. So it was pretty cool to be able to see my family there. I'm trying to see if we can get a better picture. There's a picture of us all there. So we were able to do that. Um, we spent the whole day there. Then we left and we came back that evening. And that evening, we this was a picture I took from the back of the ferry, um, or actually the front of the ferry when we were heading back into Seattle. And I got the city skyline. It was pretty cool. The only thing I was missing was just off to the left was the Space Needle. It would have been kind of like right over here where this arrow is, but I wanted to be able to get the Ferris wheel and then like one of the other ferries where the ferry docks and stuff like that. It's a cool picture. One of my favorite pictures of that trip. Um, went back to the hotel that night, and then the next day we were able to go to see Space Needle. See if it comes up here. No, it doesn't look like it's coming up. So, anyways, we went to the Space Needle, and here's a picture of it. Just kind of came in sideways. I wish it came up a little bit. There we go. Here's a better picture of it. It's still sideways. I can't figure out how to get that straightened out. But that's the famous Space Needle of Seattle. I've seen it plenty of times, but I was able to show my wife and my stepson the Space Needle, so that was pretty cool. Um, and then we went to the world famous Pike Place Market, which is kind of like a farmer's market, but there's also stores and shops and everything else. But as you can see, there's like the lighting, it talks about it, and then you can see the ferry in the background and everything. Um, that's also where the very first Starbucks that ever opened is. It's at Pike Place Market area. Um, we then went over and had lunch at the Hard Rock Cafe in Seattle. There's some pretty cool stuff over there. They have all kinds of music from like Jimi Hendrix. It's like Jimi Hendrix to the Grunge Act, which is basically like Pearl Jam, Foo Fighters, Soundgarden, all of those guys that have performed here. Um, it's kind of a cool place to go visit. They were really cool when we talked about and talked to them and told them we were from California. They kind of gave us a tour of the whole place, showed us where the concerts take place upstairs and everything like that. Um, then the following day, we were able to go to CenturyLink Field, and we were able to watch the Seahawks play the Rams. Um, Pretty cool. It was a great atmosphere. The CenturyLink Field and the Seahawks, which they call them the 12s, uh, is like one of the loudest stadiums in professional sports in the United States, and it was super loud that day. It was tons of fun for us to be there. The energy was really cool. The game was really good. So it was a lot of fun for us to be there at this game. And the Seahawks came out winning, so it was kind of cool for that to happen. I'm sure that there's some Rams fans out there that probably don't think that's very cool. So my apologies. Rams are pretty good though, so I give you props. Um, so that's basically my trip to Seattle from Ventura. It was a great time, and it's a trip that I hope to make again soon. Um, Hopefully, once I finish my credential program and I have some time. But thanks for letting me show you my trip to Seattle from Ventura.